Okay, so we're going to talk about prepping your fabric. These pattern pieces are all written in a way that you can lay them out on fabric following traditional grain line rules and you will be fine, but I'm going to share with you a hack. I designed these 3 pieces to all be the same height or start at the same height, and it's the same height as the vinyl window that you need to cut for the size you're using. Here I'm going to be talking about the adult standard one, so we're dealing with a height of 2.5 inches. This vinyl window is 2.5 by 2.5 inches high by 4 inches wide. The nice thing about a smaller window like this is even though I recommended the higher, more expensive vinyl, you don't have to buy a lot of it if you're just making a few masks. And you can get like, I think I calculated 100 and more than 100 out of a yard if you're making quantities. So these are all based on a 2.5 inch strip. So if I want to cut that out of fabric, I simply find 2.5 inches on my quilting roller. I cut a strip like this. And here's my cheat. You just need 2 strips that are 12 inches long and 2 strips that are 4 3/4 inches long. So I'm going to cut off my selvage. Please don't watch a good video on how to rotary cut. I'm doing this for the camera and therefore am not following safe rotary cutting rules right now.
What should you be doing differently?
I can do it. Keep the camera focused where you are. You always want to cut with the blade in your dominant hand, and the blade always should be closer to the center of your body. You don't ever want to crisscross cut, which is what I was about to do here. And women, especially like me, need to hold down with their body weight because otherwise the ruler slips and shifts. If you're a quilter, you've got this mastered already, but if not, that's some quick and dirty rotary cutting tips for you.
Be careful with your rotary cutters out there.
Yes, and it so this is just, it is not a pizza cutter, and it will hurt you if you run it across the palm of your hand. Veteran sewing teacher moment right there for you. So I have 2 strips that are 12 inches and 2 that are 4 3/4. And then you just have some extra here. Quilters are familiar with the 2.5 inch height because that is what already comes on jelly rolls. So if you don't want to do all this cutting, you simply walk into the store and you ask for a jelly roll. It looks like a giant like cinnamon bun made out of fabric, and they're pieces that are already 2.5 inches wide. So there you go. The other nice thing about these measurements is I found that I'm able to use scraps. So over here I've already prepped scraps. So I've got 2 that are 12 inches and 2 that are 4.75 inches. And I have that for face and lining. So from here, we're gonna simply cut them into the right shape. The middle ones are already prepared. They're good to go. So we're gonna set them aside. So it's just the top and bottom that we need. So I'm gonna take 1 for my lining and fold it in half, right sides together, and 1 from my face, fold it in half, right sides together. And I'm gonna line up that fold there. And then I am going to place this on top. Now you can pin this in place before cutting this curve. You can mark it, which is actually what I'm gonna do before cutting. Or if you like to live dangerously, you can just do it. This is a chalk wheel. I have found that Crayola washable markers do wash right out. Pro tip. So if you got some of those around. So our top pieces are prepped. And then last, we're gonna go and repeat the same for our bottom pieces.
Now you have a lining because it's going to be multi-layered. Is that the idea, or what?
No, okay,
will all
so
of them have
that
lining?
is a really good question. We have a lining in this mask because you need to sandwich the vinyl in between 2 layers to be able to sew it. So you can never have like just vinyl against the feed dogs or the presser foot. So we have to have a lining because we're sandwiching the vinyl between 2 pieces of fabric.
Does a regular cloth mask have that?
Most of the time, yes. And
Okay.
usually there is, additionally to just being nicer, to having a lining, the more layers of fabric you have provides extra filtration. So that's one of the ways you can improve the quality of your mask, in addition to just having higher thread counts. Okay.
But it does not matter the pattern or the fabric that you use for the lining because you will not see it. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's a good point. I am actually, most of the time, I like to pick solid colors for my lining because then you don't have to worry about right side and wrong side of fabric. For this video, I did choose one that does have a slight difference just so you could see as I was constructing what side was which. Some people might go ahead and mark their darts here. If you want to do that, you put your pattern piece up, you fold along the dart, and you mark it. Otherwise, another trick I found is you can, as long as this pattern piece is paper, you can take it over to the iron and you can actually just press, and then you get a fold line right along that dart, which leads us to the next step where we're gonna sew in our darts.